Melania was not in court when the verdict was read, but she released a strong statement today, posting about how much she loves and supports her husband no matter what the outcome of the trial was. I'm kidding. She didn't say anything. She said nothing at all. She was nowhere to be found. She was probably online buying a new summer hat. I don't know.
Melania is talking to those young men particularly. She may be talking just to their wives, but this is, she's in line with where most of the United States is and all the polling shows where the population is. She's just not particularly in line with where her husband's politics are.
Well, she may have been speaking to those young men with her naked pictures when she did the nude photo shoots in GQ, but we can't forget that Laura Bush did.
We expect nothing at all. No understanding of policy, no ability to put together a coherent argument, no honesty, no decency, no morals. Instead, too many people are willing to write off his childish, mean-spirited antics by saying, well, Trump's just being Trump.
Sometimes the most devastating commentary doesn't come from explosive revelations or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it comes from a simple question, a knowing smile, and a response so perfectly calibrated that it says everything without saying anything at all. That's exactly what happened on November 15th, 2018, when Michelle Obama appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live and delivered one of the most elegant takedowns of Melania Trump ever broadcast on late-night television.
At the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum, where Prince Salman and the Burger King made a very dramatic entrance. What is going on? Once the music stopped, the real show started.
I always want to be modest as I can. They say this has been the best 9 months that any president has ever had.
Truman ended World War II within 6 months of taking office. He's even better than that. I wish he would for once give himself some credit already. It's just it was a parade of the unpleasant, and no one seemed to be enjoying themselves less than Melania. That is the look of someone who's wondering when Congress is going to vote to release her.
But to understand why that moment mattered, you need to know the full story of how Kimmel and Michelle Obama exposed the difference between being a first lady and playing one on TV. Let me break down every documented moment, from Kimmel's joke that sparked a war with Fox News, to Michelle Obama's book that revealed Melania's silence, to the night they came together on live television and showed America exactly who Melania Trump really is.
Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is.
Oof. That was ice cold. And what made it even more devastating was that Michelle Obama wasn't angry. She wasn't yelling. She just stated Trump's complete failure as a president as an obvious fact. It's the difference between your mom screaming at you and your mom just casually sipping a coffee and going, well, not all kids can be winners. And another thing I appreciated about Michelle's speech is that she didn't shame people, right? In the last few years, it's been pretty standard in politics to shame people who don't agree with you and don't intend to vote like you.
This is perhaps the biggest, most malicious data leak in the history of the United States, and it's being perpetrated by the Trump regime. And sure, first, they're going after migrants who are paying their taxes, trying to steal their information. But next, they're coming for you. They're building a database at the IRS, and they've been caught in this federal court case proceeding that I know with all the news out there is not getting enough attention, but a federal judge has busted the IRS in an illegal data sharing scheme with the Department of Homeland Security, where the IRS was giving ICE confidential information about migrants to help ICE find and deport them. To help break this down, I am so honored to share with you Katie Fang, one of the hosts at the Midas Touch Network. She got her own YouTube channel partnered with the Midas Touch Network. But Katie, tell us why this is so important.
November 2018, the book that started it all. It all began with Michelle Obama's memoir, Becoming, which was released in mid-November 2018. The book immediately rocketed to #1 on Amazon charts, and for good reason. Michelle didn't just share her story, she exposed truths about the Trump administration that nobody else could. One of those truths involved Melania Trump. Michelle wrote about how her predecessor, Laura Bush, had reached out when Michelle became First Lady, offering help and saying she was a phone call away if Michelle needed anything.
Melania has emerged from hibernation.
Why do I stand proudly behind my nude modeling work?
Okay, wait. Who asked this question?
But when Justin Trudeau air-kissed Melania, that innocent moment became hashtag Melania loves Trudeau. Can you blame her? It was even turned into a movie poster. This just in, a story of forbidden love on the world stage.
Melania, go out and buy it. It's great. And if she says bad things about me, I'll call you all up and I'll say, don't buy it, get rid of it.
Sounds like things are solid at home.
Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values.
That you work hard for what you want.
You work hard for what you want.
That your word is your bond.
That your word is your bond. That you do what you say you're going to do. That you treat people
with respect.
With dignity and respect, even if you don't know them, and even if you don't agree with them.
And
Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
And your willingness to work for them.
Apparently, a lot of y'all didn't know what was going on with this, and it involves the IRS and our undocumented immigrants, and it's so particularly egregious what the Trump administration is doing that I thought it would be great to be able to share this information with you. So, what happened was a federal judge just entered on November 21st, 2025, which was just on Friday, a order wherein it was blocking the IRS from doing a massive data share with the Department of Homeland Security and specifically ICE. And it spun out of an agreement that was entered in April of this year between the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and dog killer Kristi Noem, Secretary of our Department of Homeland Security.
Michelle wrote that she did the same for Melania Trump during the 2016 to 2017 transition. She offered help, she offered guidance, she offered the kind of support that first ladies traditionally provide to their successors. Melania never responded. Not a phone call, not an email, nothing. When ABC News' Robin Roberts asked Michelle about this on November 11th, 2018, Michelle confirmed it.
Still, Michelle's spilling the family secrets, like how Barry gets on her nerves. Listen.
Barack, he had to adjust to what on time was for me.
Because he was on that island time.
Well, but, I've got this husband who's like, when it's time to leave, it's 3 o'clock, he's getting up and going to the bathroom. And I was like, dude, like 3 o'clock departure means you've done all that, It's like, don't start looking for your glasses, at the 3 o'clock departure. But he's improved over 30 years of marriage. But that was you must adjust.
Michelle says her husband doesn't really like people, doesn't know how to talk to him, and doesn't even really care.
When a girlfriend comes to visit, it's usually like, you got to stay for 2 days because it's going to take us
so much
2
time
days
to come to
check up. Now, Barack's come in, he's come out, and he's like, y'all still talking? He'll sit down for 5 minutes, be like, how are the boys? And the flip side of my husband, right? Because he golfs. And golfing takes as long as the first session of our, it takes 5 hours to golf. He'll golf with his buddies, come back, and be like, how's X? He's good. He's like, what'd y'all talk about? Nothing.
Hate to break it to Michelle, but guys don't get deep on the course. Normally, when someone rags on their spouse, there's usually a little love. Like, Jimmy, he never listens, but he looks cute in his suit. But that wasn't cute. Did she drop this podcast to distance herself from Barack so she could run for president? Every politician starts a podcast right before they launch their next campaign. Looking at you, Gavin.
She'd reached out to Melania offering assistance with the transition, and Melania had never taken her up on the offer. The White House's response? Stephanie Grisham, Melania's communications director, released a statement saying, "When she needs advice on any issue, she seeks it from her professional team in the White House." Translation: Melania doesn't need Michelle's help because she has professionals. But here's what that response revealed. Melania Trump either didn't understand or didn't care about the tradition of first ladies supporting each other. She saw Michelle's outreach not as a kind gesture from one woman to another, but as something beneath her.
Michelle Obama, listen to this.
And at this phase of my life, I'm in therapy right now because I'm transitioning. You know, I'm 60 years old. I've finished a really hard thing in my life with my family intact. I'm an empty nester. My girls are in, you know, they've been launched. And now for the first time, as I've said before, every choice that I'm making is completely mine. I now don't have the excuse of, well, my kids need this or my husband needs that or the country needs that. So how do I think about this next phase?
Once again, speaking a reference to her time as First Lady negatively, and I'm transitioning. I mean, an interesting choice of words, given how the internet refers to her.
Speaking of pigskin, Donald Trump, in his ongoing effort to distract us from the fact that he doesn't want Melania to see the Epstein files, went after Rosie O'Donnell again. She said the president looked great and presidential alongside our stunning First Lady, who was, as usual, dressed perfectly for the occasion. And she's right about Melania. I don't know about stunning, but she definitely looks stunned. Show them together, because this is the happiest.
To be able to go after you, round you up, and deport your ass. We'll get into the specifics in a second, but let's turn to this order because it's very important and it kind of sets the table for what's going on. So this is a 94-page order, and it was entered by Federal District Court Judge Colleen Collar Catelli. It's kind of an interesting name, right? She's a senior judge. She's got senior judge status, meaning she's not retired, but she's sitting in senior judge status for the District of Columbia. And again, like I said, it was from Friday, November 21st. And this opinion is damning against the Trump administration, specifically the IRS.
If you're ready to see how Kimmel and Michelle Obama used this story to expose Melania's character, hit that subscribe button right now because what happened next was masterful. November 15th, 2018, the Jimmy Kimmel moment. 4 days after the ABC News interview, Michelle Obama appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live. It was her first late-night stop on the book tour, and Kimmel had a lot to ask about. They discussed Stevie Wonder. They talked about post-White House life and Barack Obama's post-presidency habits.
You have to be very careful when you're a first lady. I spoke to your husband about this also because he jokes around a lot, but then you realize like, oh, I have to maybe reel it in because of the position I have. But you're not first lady anymore.
I am not.
And as far as I'm concerned, you can cut loose and really say anything now, right?
Yes.
So what I've done is I've got a series of cards here.
What have you done?
I've written some things down, and if you are...
You've written some stuff
Yes,
down.
if you're game for this,
okay.
maybe here are some things that you could say now that you are...
So you want me to just look at those cards and just read what
Don't even look at them, just read what I wrote. Yeah.
Okay.
Has there ever been a more racist first lady? She's a racist. That's what we've learned about Michelle Obama. It was a slow reveal. Like, we started to learn, first we found out she doesn't like America. Then we found out on her show she doesn't like her husband, at all. Then we started to find out she's really obsessed with herself. She's somewhat narcissistic. And then we found out she's a racist. She really can't stand white people. Every problem in her life is as a result of some white person who she imagines is judging her. Like, we're actually spending time thinking about whether her hair is curly or straight. I have news for you, Michelle. On behalf of all whites, we have better things to do. So get over yourself.
The conversation was light, friendly, warm. Then Kimmel asked the question that would make headlines. If you wanted to get someone in your husband's administration fired, how would you do that? The question wasn't random. Just days earlier, on November 13th, 2018, Melania Trump had done something unprecedented. She'd publicly called for the firing of Deputy National Security Advisor Mira Ricardel via Twitter.
Kind of wish she might have said something to him, maybe, you know?
Well, I mean, Melania has asserted control over her own body because she's removed it from living with Donald Trump, and she's now back in New York overseeing Barron's education at NYU. Look, this is a very familiar Republican trope. The wives come out and say they believe in abortion rights when their husbands, who have the power to actually take away women's rights, and we've seen that with the extraordinary boasting by Donald Trump.
Here in the present, we are on day 41 of the Trump government shutdown. Democrats refuse to sign on to a bill that would force millions of Americans off their health care and make it much more expensive for those who can, and a McNugget knob, too. And he has another little button to lock the door when he hears Elon coming. Elon Musk reportedly badgered Trump into giving him an office in the West Wing. It's kind of a tough situation for Trump because, on the one hand, you know he can't stand this guy. On the other hand, he needs his money. It's what they call a Melania.
The First Lady's office released a statement saying, "It is the position of the office of the First Lady that she no longer deserves the honor of serving in this White House." Within 24 hours, Ricardel was gone. Reports indicated the beef was over plane seating arrangements during Melania's trip to Africa and disputes over National Security Council resources. Melania reportedly suspected Ricardel of unflattering leaks to the media.
Certificate obsession. Did he ask to see yours when you met him?
I needed to put mine anyway, because if you want to become an American citizen, you need to put the birth certificate.
Right.
I have a birth certificate from Slovenia. And do you want to see President Obama birth certificate or not?
I've seen it.
It's not the birth certificate.
My decision to skip the inauguration, you know, what people don't realize, or my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule and criticism. Like, people couldn't believe that I was saying no for any other reason, that they had to assume that my marriage was falling apart.
Right.
You know, it's like, while I'm here really trying to own my life and intentionally practice making the choice that was right for me, and it took everything in my power to not do the thing that was right, or that was perceived as right, but do the thing that was right for me.
Needless to say, the judge was like, that's bullshit. Because it's not like one person at ICE is processing more than 1 million criminal investigations or proceedings. And there's a specific federal statute, 26 U.S. Code 6103, subsection I, subsection 2. That specific federal statute allows for the disclosure of certain information from the IRS to individuals that are, quote, personally and directly engaged in a non-tax criminal investigation or proceeding, assuming that several other conditions are satisfied.
News reports had documented Melania getting people fired over petty disputes. Trump's own behavior had documented his infidelity and disrespect. All Kimmel and Michelle had to do was put it in context. They showed America what real First Lady leadership looks like, and by contrast, exposed what Melania Trump really is. Someone playing a role without understanding it, someone with a title but no dignity, someone in a position of influence who chose to use it for personal grievances rather than public good.
I've never eaten a vegetable.
I knew it. Here's another one.
That's not true. The whole 8 years we were in the White House, we used Laura Bush's Netflix password.
Really? Wow. The revelation.
Laura, sorry. Send me the bill.
There you go.
I'm not sure which one's Sasha and which one's Malia. You know, they agree. They get so mad every time I mess their names up. I'm like, who are you?
Part of being a parent.
The game that Sasha plays with me is that when we're with a lot of people, she'll call me mom, mom, mom. And I don't hear her. And she's like, Michelle Obama. And I look up.
That's the real story. Not an explosive exposure, but a quiet, devastating comparison that left no doubt about who these women really are. If you believe character matters more than titles, if you think grace under pressure is more powerful than petty revenge, subscribe to this channel and share this video. Because what Kimmel and Michelle Obama exposed about Melania Trump wasn't a scandal. It was the truth. And sometimes the truth is the most damaging exposure of all.